Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Shoulder, arms. Carry, sword. Post. Paragraph fall in.
The table in front of you is set for 6. The empty chairs represent Americans who are missing from each of the services: Army, Marine Corps, Navy, Air Force, and Coast Guard. And civilians with us is big. The table is round to show our evidence. Sorry. The cloth is white, symbolizing the purity of their motives when answering a call to service. The single red rose reminds us the lives of those Americans and their loved ones and friends who keep the faith while seeking the answers. The yellow ribbon symbolizes our continued uncertainty and hope for the return and the determination to account for them. The slice of lemons reminds us of their bitter fate. Captured and missing in a foreign land. A pinch of salt symbolizes the tears of our missing and their families who long for answers after decades of uncertainty. The lighted candle reflects our hope for their return, alive or dead. The Bible represents the strength gained through faith to sustain us and those lost from our country, founded as one nation under God. The glasses are inverted to symbolize their inability to share a toast with us. The chairs are empty because they are missing. As a combat veteran, I just want to thank you for just listening to us. Because it really affects my heart. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, veterans, and all those who serve, I am honored to be doing the opening prayer. I felt inspired to write this a few days ago for this occasion. I hope that you like it. Father in heaven, may we always remember there is no security without vigilance. There is no prosperity without labor. There is no generosity without love. There is no tranquility without peace. There is no honor without service. There is no strength without virtue. There is no hope without vision. There's no direction without wise guidance. There is no gratitude without a benefactor. There's no faith without the faithful. There's no freedom without struggle. There is no struggle won without veterans. God bless our veterans, now and forever. Amen.
Thank you, Father Steve, for your words. A couple of thank yous that I want to make sure I mention before we move on. I'd first like to thank the Cairo family for letting our council honor your father here tonight. I'd like to give a special thanks to Bill Hayden, Director of our Police, who's one of our guest speakers for tonight, the Addison Village Board, the Addison Police Department, the Addison Fire Protection District, the Knights of Columbus State Officers, the last year's honorary family, Bill Byers' family, my brother Knights, for all their support and for all their help and for all their help for helping me. And of course, our friends, the Shriners. Without them, these last 3 years of this dinner could not have been done if it wasn't for them for them opening up their house to us. So I got a little thing I got prepared that I want to say of my own. I had a little hard time going through this the other night, but I'm going to see if I can do it. Since 1882, when Father McGivney came up with the idea of starting the Knights of Columbus, there's been a military there to defend our country. When I think of what Father McGivney was thinking of helping the widows and orphans, that's what our organization was founded on. So when you go with those original ideas, and since we, the Knights, have done much more on a greater scale than Father McGivney could have ever imagined, at the same time, the Knights could not have done if it was not for our veterans that took up the call and said that they would defend our country. If not for our veterans, where would we be? These men and women have defended our country, some to their death, knowing that someone was left behind and someone loved them. Because they knew the duty of their moment and is what they should be doing to bring everyone back home, so we could keep our way of life. The Knights of Columbus are proud of our devotion to God and country, and we believe in standing up for both. Whether it's public or private, the Knights remain the world that the Catholics support their nation and are amongst our greatest citizens. And let's finish on those who've never made it back and those injured in the line of duty. And our country will be forever grateful. But also remember those who came back physically and may have never made it back emotionally. To all of our veterans, we the Knights of Columbus, as well as our country, salute you all. Thank you.
Well done.
So our first speaker, she's the Allenforce CEO. She's become a great friend to me and to the Knights. Donna, do you want to come on up?
Good evening, everyone. Like Mike said, my name is Donna, and it's truly an honor to be here representing Allenforce, a recipient charity for the third year of this beautiful Patriotism dinner. Thank you, Mike Bruntz and the Damon Hildebrandt Council. In addition to representing Allenforce, I'm wearing two things this evening that are near and dear to my heart. Representing my personal connections to the service communities here. Tonight I wear the lapel pin of my grandfather, my late grandfather, 4th degree Knight, Louis Cesadio, as a connection to the council here who organized this wonderful fundraiser for those in need of community services after their time in the military. I also wear the dog tags of my late father, Donald Allen, Army veteran, Korean era, as a connection to the organization I am here representing, one of the beneficiaries of tonight's event, Allenforce. Allenforce was named in memory of my late father, whom I never had the pleasure of knowing beyond the first year of my life. It's in his honor and for those of all eras that we provide the services that we do. At this time, I'd like to recognize all the service members here with us tonight. I'd ask you to please raise your hand for just a moment and be recognized. All the service members here tonight. Thank you. Thank you all for your commitment to our freedoms. A little bit about Allenforce. We have 4 main programs that focus on health, fitness, and recreation, in addition to our educational workshops that highlight the unique needs of veterans and their strong culture and ethos by which they live. I'll share with you a brief description of the 4 programs that we facilitate. First, our Vet Rec program. It's for all who have served. It brings camaraderie into recreational, community inclusive, and high adventure, sometimes comfort zone stretching activities like ice fishing, paintball, and skydiving. Secondly, we have a program supporting women called She-Force. It provides a feminine supportive connection while they experience empowering guided activities like aerial yoga and artistic retreats. Third is our Vet Tank program. We have a loaner chair that provides outdoor independence for anyone in need. This equipment is shown on the back of the brochures that are on your tables. There's a photo on the back. These are provided free of charge to support community events with accessibility or independently signed out to veterans for their adventures, like hunting, sand dune vacations, or annual family picking. The fourth and final program, our Healthy Minds, Healthy Bodies program for veterans with visible or invisible injuries before or after service. They're able to participate in a comprehensive fitness and social networking program free of charge at a wide range of licensed facilities. This program could not exist without our dedicated members like NEDSRA and the Addison Park District, which happened to be the location of the pilot program almost 10 years ago. It's through these 4 programs and in collaboration with our partners that we've provided community connections and transition services for more than 1,800 veterans. Peacetime or combat, male or female, injured or non-injured. But the most important ingredient in that successful transition is that their families are included and the communities. And these cover over 8 counties in Illinois and 4 states thus far. Tonight, as we honor the late Ernie Cairo, a World War II veteran and Brother Knight, let us remember that these services did not exist back then, nor did they exist after Korea for veterans like Bill Byers, and definitely they were not around after Vietnam for those like Joe Burian and many of you. As the evening progresses, I encourage you to learn all you can about what we do as nonprofits. Talk with us throughout the evening and give freely to support the veterans and the efforts of all of those who have sacrificed so much through their service. May you have a wonderful evening and continue serving as you are on a daily basis, doing such wonderful and supportive things for others, which we at Allenforce, of course, are very grateful. It takes a village, it truly does. So thank you, and God bless. I'm walking away with Mike's notes here, sorry. Make sure you got them all.
I'm good. Thanks, Donna. So the last couple of years, as most of you guys know, you guys have been here before, Allenforce and the Healthy Mind, Healthy Bodies program over in Ezra have been the 2 recipients of this evening. We have added a 3rd recipient for this year, and it's Midwest Shelter for Homeless Veterans. And to speak on their behalf tonight is Christine Lewis. So instead of Emily Lewis, it's going to be Emily Kehoe instead.
Yes.
Come on up.
Hello, everyone. My name's Emily Kehoe. I'm the development officer at the Midwest Shelter for Homeless Veterans. Christine Lewis couldn't make it this evening, but I know she, the rest of the Midwest Shelter for Homeless Veterans staff, and the veterans we serve, thank you from the bottom of their hearts for having us here this evening. I know when I think of the word veterans, words come to mind. Brave, honorable soldiers that fight for our freedoms. But very rarely do the public think of the word homeless, a word that should never be in the same sentence as veterans, in my humble opinion. Here at the Midwest Shelter for Homeless Veterans, we work on the simple vision to leave no veteran behind due to poverty, homelessness, joblessness, or substance abuse. That vision is ingrained in all of our programs, whether that be our Freedom Commissary, a free thrift store that provides household goods, clothing, and hygiene products for those in need, or our employment center that connects veterans to sustainable, high-paying jobs. You know, we are able to do the work that we do because of people like you, supporters of this community who are like in mind and like in vision. So I thank you again for having us here today. I thank Mike Bruns for organizing this amazing event. It's incredible to be here. If you have any questions, myself and the rest, or at least some of the Midwest Shelter for Homeless Veterans staff will be here to answer any questions. I know we are extremely lucky to be with these two other amazing organizations, and we thank you guys for letting us serve those who have served this country. Thank you so much.
So when I asked our guest speaker tonight if he would like to come and be the guest speaker, he said, "Why me? Because I'm not a veteran." And I said, "Well," I've actually had contact with you a couple of times over a couple of different things, and your answers to me were always full of integrity. So when it came to the decision of who should I ask this year to be our guest speaker, there was nobody else that I thought about asking except for our Director of Police, Bill Hayden. Bill?
Hi, everyone. I'm filling in for the guy that Mike just talked about. That was very nice. Thank you, Mike. Appreciate it. Good evening. How do you like the weather? It's nice today. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. Yeah. But we've been busy at the village, even though the weather's nice. There's still a lot of water main breaks. There's still a lot of work going on. Guys were out on the road during those cold days. You know, when I was home, they were out on the work. They were out on the road. But anyways, that's not why I'm here tonight. I have the distinct privilege of talking about the Knights, as well as a great American and a Village of Addison resident and a business owner. His name is Orlando Ernesto Cairo. If I may, I'd like to acknowledge my bosses in the room first. I just looked around and I saw a couple of bosses, and if I don't do that, I'm probably going to get in trouble. So if I can, please bear with me. Mayor Veenstra and his wife, Marianne. Trustee Harry Theodore and his wife, Lori. Village Clerk Lucille Zaccaro. Trustee Kathy Kluzny and her husband, Andy. And Joe Moranowitz and his wife, Belinda. To be honest with you, ladies and gentlemen, I have no idea why they're here. They never listen to me anyways. So I want to start with the Knights, as they gave me the privilege to talk about Ernie Cairo. Ladies and gentlemen, I discovered, well, I want to start with the Knights, actually, and then I'm going to talk about Ernie. Ladies and gentlemen, I discovered that the Knights of Columbus is an organization originally founded in 1882, well over 130 years ago. 130 years. The Knights are apparently doing a lot of things right, and for all the right reasons, in my opinion. They do so well because the first principle of the Knights has been charity. The Knights are Catholic men devoted to charitable action. Very noble. Did you know that in 2017 was a record-setting year for the Knights of Columbus because there was an unprecedented $185.6 million in donations. $185.6 million in 1 year. It's absolutely fantastic. A lot of people believe in this organization. And they also donate many, many, many hours of their time, which equates to millions of dollars on top of that. Locally, they participate in Shop with a Hero, the Comfort Bears program for the Addison Police Department and the Addison Fire Department, the Township Food Pantry, Baby Bottles, which is a pro-life fundraiser, the Pancake Breakfast, PADS, and they support St. Philip's. The Catholic faith of all the Knights is strong, and there is no doubt they love thy neighbor as thyself. Their faith in God compels them to action, but in addition, they are a very strong fraternity and strong believers in patriotism. And I'd like to be if you'd like to be a part of that inner international organization of nearly 2 million Catholic men, whose principal work involves helping others in need, I'm sure they would like to meet you and invite you to join. So on behalf of all the men and women of the Addison Police Department, I would like to thank you for your service to our great community, to St. Philip's, to the needy and the unborn. In a way, you have the courage of the disciples because you stand up for the issues that are not popular today. And many times, you stand up for those countercultural issues that people don't stand up strong enough for today, and you do it. You always do the right thing, so on behalf of all of us, we thank you very, very, very much. Now, I have the privilege of talking about a great man who is known to many, but many of you may not have known how great this man was. Orlando Ernesto Cairo, also known as Ernie Cairo. He was the first generation American in his family. Actually, he was conceived in Italy and he was born in Chicago, Illinois. So, the guy is a true American. He was born on February 25th, 1925, so he'd be 94 years old at the end of this month. The family called him Orr, but everyone else called him Ernie. You knew him as Ernie. The family migrated to Chicago, where Ernie grew up in an Italian Jewish neighborhood on the west side of Chicago. He attended Marshall High School, for all you old-time West Siders, you know where that's at. Ernie was mechanically inclined and got his talent from his dad, Louis. After high school, Ernie was employed rebuilding floor scrubbers and rebuilding motors. So he was mechanically inclined. He was had a favor of working on electrical things. Now, as Ernie was coming to age, World War II was in full action. If you recall, there was a military policy called the sole survival policy. Okay, it was signed into law in 1948, but it was a practice before that, especially during during the 40s and especially during World War II. Well, Ernie's older brother, Eugene, was familiar with the practice and was quick to tell Ernie that he was the designated family member who would sign up for the military. Yeah, nice older brother. Ernie did it. He was a devoted Italian-American, very strong family man. He signed up. He agreed and he enlisted in 1943. Ernie graduated from basic and was immediately sent to the European theater. After the victory in Europe, Ernie boarded a ship and was en route to Japan, but was diverted to the Philippines after America dropped the A-bomb on Japan. Japan surrendered, and Ernie, still assigned to the Philippines, was assigned to work over there. And like I said, Ernie was mechanically inclined, so he was assigned to fix Jeeps. Actually, Ernie was the first man to create a production line in the Philippines. First man to create a production line in the Philippines. He hired the local Filipino people and taught them how to repair the Jeeps, brought them in, put them to work. Actually, as a young man and in the military, he started creating his own business model, and he started managing people as a young man. Ernie was discharged in 1946, where he returned to Chicago. He went into TV repair. He worked at the Merchandise Mart, Fisher Body, and Continental Electric. He met his bride at the Merchandise Mart. His wife, Marianne, was a telephone operator, and Ernie was the company electrician. You can see where this is going. The light above Marianne's workplace needed repair, and before you know it, they were married in 1954. I wouldn't doubt if Ernie was probably the one that broke that light. They raised 5 fantastic kids: Dave, Terry, Nancy, Gregory, and Sharon. The family moved to Addison in 1957, over on Linda Lane, which is between Byron and Mill Road there. He went into business with a friend of his as electricians. In fact, there were 3 of them, and the business was called 440 Electric. Now, Ernie was a hardworking kind of guy. And his partner, well, one of the 3 partners, was kind of a talker. So Ernie bought him out and renamed the business Zipco Electric. And then Ernie kept on the second guy in the business that worked with them. It was Ernie and Pete. And then, of course, the family. The family moved into the business. So Ernie started all over again, but from his military experience he wasn't about to be deterred. He built Zipco Electric from the ground up. The company first worked out of a garage before he bought a grocery store located at Moreland and Addison Road, and he turned it into his business. It's still there at 105 North Addison Road. Ernie brought his two oldest sons into the business the very first day of summer break after Terry graduated from 8th grade. What a wake-up call. Come on, kid, you graduated 8th grade, now get to work. I would have liked your dad. Yeah. Ernie was a hard worker and actually installed the electric in about half of the buildings in the industrial park, the Addison Industrial Park. And you know that's the 4th largest industrial park in the state of Illinois. And he also supplied electric to about 100 homes a year. Now back in the 50s and 60s, that was huge. They were really working hard. They were putting a lot of electric out there. He was a true entrepreneur and also started a business called Cairo Enterprises dealing with properties. If that wasn't enough, Ernie was also a member of the Knights of Columbus. He was a Cub Master. He was on the Electrical Commission for the Village of Addison and was a member of the Americans of Italian descent. In 1967, Ernie moved the family over from Linda Lane to 1320 West Holtz, right there by St. Philip's. And then he became a devoted member of St. Philip's Parish, where he became a Eucharistic minister and an usher. He donated a lot of time and electrical materials to St. Philip's. He had an amazing personality. He loved people. He was very charismatic and was the life of the party. Good guy. He was also a very generous man. He believed in the mission of the Knights because he helped families in need for many years, and he never bragged about it. Never talked about it either. He just went out and helped people, did it on his own, fulfilled that mission. He worked very hard his whole life. When he was 61 years old, he finally bought a place in Arizona to slow down a little bit. He would take some extra time off in the winter and let Terry, Dave, and the girls run the family, and their family friend who had been with Ernie during his electrical career, run the business. All the kids worked at Zipco. Call them kids. I'm looking out at them. Ernie was also an active member in Union 134, the National Electrical Contractors Association. He traveled the world representing electrical workers. Traveled the world representing them. He also worked for Local 701 conducting apprentice interviews for incoming electrical workers. This guy just never stopped. He kept giving and giving and giving. Good choice for this award tonight. Ernie would give credit to the military for his success. He said he went in as a kid and came out as a man who had learned how to lead, work hard, think positive, and believe in success. He attended church every Sunday and passed on his passion to serve the Lord to his family. Now, Ernie passed away in 2002, and that's 17 years ago. But look at this. He made such a positive impact and such a positive impression on everybody that we are still talking about him 17 years after his death here tonight. So I know that man is looking down and smiling on us. Ladies and gentlemen, I strongly believe he's in heaven with the Lord. So let's stand up and give him a standing ovation he can really smile about. He deserves it. Come on, let's go. Yeah, all for Ernie. Yeah. Okay. And in closing, all I want to say is thank you, Ernie. Thank you for all you did for the Knights, for St. Philip's, for the Village of Addison, for the electrical unions, for the military, for the United States of America, and especially your family. Especially your family and many of the families that you helped that we don't even know about. God bless you, Ernie. Have a good night, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Bill. So before I bring up our last speaker, I want to say a couple things about the Cairo family. So I've never met Ernie. I actually met the Cairo family, believe it or not, at church. I had sat down in a pew one day just figuring I was staking my claim like I normally would at where I would always want to sit. And Mary Ann, Ernie's wife, and his daughter Nancy welcomed me to sit there, and I haven't moved out of my seat since. Right, Nancy? So, but learning a little bit, because back and forth, you know, and at first I didn't even know who Ernie was. I didn't even know Ernie was a knight. So, but just, there was just an opening of gratitude and opening of love that I felt from Mary Ann and his daughter Nancy. They were always very nice. I'm also myself a Eucharistic minister, and Mary Ann's health was a little failing, and it was getting harder for her to come up and walk up to communion. And she always kind of sat on the one side, and I would bring her communion. And she was always so very grateful. I always look forward to Sunday and being able to serve her communion whenever I was able to. I found out that later on, a few years later, I found out that Ernie was a knight, and I was dumbfounded that I didn't know. But again, Ernie had passed away, so you know, you don't always find these things out. One of our brother knights, Mike Peters, I find out later that he's actually wearing Ernie's chapeau. So the chapeau that we wear as a 4th degree knights is over there on the table over there, and that's actually, he's been passed on to our brother knight that still to this day uses it. So kind of in closing with everything that I want to say about the Cairo family, they've been nothing but loving toward me, and they've taken in all of us just as how their father treated them. So that's pretty much what I want to say. So the last speaker would be Michelina. It's Ernie's granddaughter, and she's going to give you a little bit more info about her grandfather.
Thank you, Mike. I'd first like to respectfully disagree with the chief. If my grandpa was, because he is looking down on us, he's definitely smiling, that's definitely true. But he's saying, nah, get out of here, nah. He would never be okay, not okay, but I'm not saying it the right way, but he was so humble and so full of humility that he never would have imagined that this could have happened. So I would have to respectfully disagree, sir. Good evening, everybody. My name is Michelina Trackus. I'm the granddaughter of Ernie Cairo. I'd first like to thank the Knights of Columbus for the wonderful evening that you've planned for us and for all of the work that you do in the community, as well as all of the veterans that have served this great nation. It's truly an honor to be here to talk about somebody who served both the Knights and his country in World War II, my grandpa Ernie. I would like to tell you a few of the things that he taught me. My grandpa, as the chief said, was the first of his family to be born here in the United States in 1925. And other than his occasional Italian exclamations when he would tell us, "Mangia, mangia," at the dinner table, he really kind of shied away from holding on to a lot of those Italian cultural traditions because he was so proud to be an American. I remember trying to figure out with him one day in the car with him and my grandma, we were talking about, how much German are we? How much Italian are we? How much Irish are we? And Grandpa said to us, you might be 25% Italian, but you are 100% American. He worked hard to create a life for his family. And he was always so grateful for the opportunities that he had here in the United States. My grandpa taught me patriotism. My grandpa treated every single human that he encountered with compassion and kindness. For any of you who knew him, you knew you could have an enjoyable conversation with him about just about anything. My Aunt Nancy likes to say that he could carry on a conversation with a brick wall, and the brick wall would talk back. His genuine spirit was evident in every single communication with people at church, as a member of the Knights, with the customers of his electrical business. His integrity was unmatched. Getting the job done right and serving others was always paramount to him. And this is an attitude that was passed on to my dad and my Uncle Dave as they continued the electrical business, to my Uncle Greg and my Aunt Nancy for their work at the restaurant Carson's in the city, and my Aunt Sharon with all of her work at Chanel. And like my grandpa, this is not only true in their professional lives, but in their personal lives as well. And every single interaction that they have with another person. My grandpa taught us kindness. My grandpa was not only kind, he was enormously generous. He always put others before himself. And he always made it a priority to make other people feel valued. When I was making my confirmation at St. Philip's, we went to visit him and Grandma before Mass. Grandpa was too sick to make it, so my grandma needed to stay there with him. But he said he had a gift for me, so we stopped by. And I sat beside him on the bed, and he gave me this medal. It was the medal that my mom gave to him when she converted to Catholicism when she married my dad. He took my hands in his, and he said, "I am so proud that I can finally now call you Michelina Orlando Cairo." My grandpa was dying, and all he wanted to do was make me laugh. My grandpa taught us selflessness. What I remember most about my grandpa was how much fun it was to be around him. We were always laughing when we were together. We used to sit in the family room with, my mom and dad, or my brothers, my cousins, my aunts, and my uncles, and we would just talk about entertainment and actors and sports and current events. And we would go on and on with all of these stories, and he never talked to us like we were kids. He always talked to us like we were adults. They never censored themselves. We were just kind of in there for the ride. And I remember sitting there backtracking, trying to figure out, how did we start talking about that? And I'd go back, but we had so much fun just being together, reminiscing on old stories, but he always had us laughing. He lost his pointer finger in an electrical accident when he was younger, so he was just kind of like this all the time. And I remember one time he told me that my grandma bit it off, which didn't make any sense to me because they were so in love. My grandma and grandpa were so in love. So I was like, "Grandpa, what are you talking about? Like, Grandma bit your finger off?" No, and he had different stories, like a dinosaur, I don't know. But I was probably 6 before I figured it out. But my grandpa taught us humor. My grandpa taught us to swim. My grandpa taught me to put syrup on my sausage. My grandpa taught me that spending time with loved ones was the greatest gift and the greatest blessing. My grandpa taught me family. Thank you very much.
So I'd like to thank everybody again for coming. It was great speeches, everyone. So before we commence with dinner, we're going to be eating here in a few minutes. As you see behind us, we have silent auction items. Every item that we have behind here, all the money that gets raised from these, all 100% of this money goes back to the veteran organizations. So be kind, be generous, and we're going to be doing the silent auction items at 9:30. Everybody got a ticket when they came in. That's for a door prize that we're going to be giving away at 9 o'clock. So thank you all for coming. I can't tell you how much this actually means to me, and to the council that you guys have supported us for this 3rd year, and hopefully this is something that we can do 20 years from now too as well. So thank you all for coming, and I know I never say it right, being German, but I'm going to say manja. It's time to eat. Thank you very much for coming.